This meeting is called to order. We have the invocation by Deborah Sherman. She's in the house.
Good evening, Mayor Welch, Vice Mayor Brown, Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Fletcher, City Manager, City Attorney, the staff, and all that are present. Bow your heads as I pray. Eternal God, we thank you for the gift of this day, and we thank you for the gift of your presence with us this evening. We ask that you lead and guide the city commissioners, staff, and everyone in the appointed position to do their job to the best of their ability, but to give them the wisdom and patience that they need and understanding and patience with each other, that together they would reach the best decision for the good of the citizens of Alachua. Help them to understand that in every concern, issue, lies opportunities for healing, restoration, and to do something new that hasn't been done before. We thank you for what you're going to do. We thank you for those that are present. And we thank you in advance for how you're going to bring about a prosperous, good life community for the good of every citizen. In your name and for your honor and glory. Amen.
Now we have the pledge allegiance to the flag.
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start this meeting, I would like you to silence your phone or put it on vibrate. And if you have to make a phone call, will you please step out of the meeting room? We will highly appreciate that. Now we'll approve the reading of the proposed. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. Approval of the agenda.
Second.
Ari.
It's been moved in second. Now we have comments from public.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commission, staff, Madam Attorney. My name is Tamara Robbins. I'd like to speak to the agenda because I would like an update. The city did publish a notice for the public hearing on the alcohol ordinance, for the changes of the alcohol ordinance. It's not on here. I'd like an explanation why. And also back in June, you discussed options for having more outreach to the community. And I know that you voted 5-0 to direct the city manager, the interim city manager, to bring back options for live streaming of the meetings. And that's not on the agenda tonight either. And in my opinion, that's a reasonable amount of time. It should be a priority. And so I'm asking why that is not on tonight's agenda and when the public can expect to see it. Thank you.
Thank you. Would there be anyone else? All right, we'll move on to we'll move on to a vote. And I'll start with Commissioner Fletcher.
Aye.
Commissioner Dana.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Brown.
Aye.
Mayor Welch, vote aye. So we'll move on to approving the reading of the proposed ordinance and resolution by title only. Special presentation. Oh,
I'll move the approval.
Second.
it's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So now we will move to special presentation.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Mr. City Manager, Madam City Attorney. Tyler Williams, Accounting Manager with the City of Alachua. and tonight I'm here to present the fiscal analysis report through July 31st of the current fiscal year. With that said, I will define some of the key terms I'll be using throughout this presentation. Fiscal year is the period beginning October 1st, 2024, and ending September 30th, 2025. Amended budget is the budget including all changes since the beginning of the fiscal year. Period benchmark is the percentage of fiscal year that has transpired. Through July, that is 83.3%. Encumbrances are funds committed for future expenses. The breakdown of the budget by fund type is displayed here. The general fund and enterprise funds account for about 85% of the total budget. The amended fiscal year 25 budget is $67,454,933. Moving on to the individual fund types. The general fund primary revenue source are taxes, which accounts for about 48% of all general fund revenues. The general fund provides the resources necessary to provide for the city's main governmental functions. The amended budget is $20,673,002. Funding sources are at 95%. Expenses are at just under 77%, and encumbrances are just under 6%. Moving on to the special revenue funds. The primary current revenue source are the intergovernmental revenue related to the CRA and the taxes associated with the infrastructure surtax and wild spaces public places funds. These three funds account for approximately 92% of the special revenue budget. The amended budget is $4,839,916. Funding sources are at 92%, expenses are at 20%, and encumbrances are at 13%. Next is the debt service fund with a primary revenue source that is comprised of interfund transfers that provides all general obligation current debt payments. Currently, the only general government debt is the Series 2016. The amended budget is $779,657. Sources of funding are at 100%, and expenses are at 100%. The next fund type are the capital projects funds. The primary revenue source in this fund type are from intergovernmental sources. The amended budget is $40,414. Funding sources are at 100%, expenses are at 89%, and encumbrances are at 19%. The enterprise funds are supported through charges for services, so user fees. This fund type encompasses all the city's utilities. The amended budget is $36,859,984. Funding sources are at 88%, expenses are at 51%, and encumbrances are at 11%. Lastly is the internal service fund type, with primary revenue source being charges for services. These are in the form of transfers from the enterprise fund, as the primary purpose is to provide support for enterprise fund activities. The amended budget is $4,243,960. Funding sources are at 101%, expenses are at 68%, and encumbrances are at 1%. The original budget for the current fiscal year was originally $67,363,713. And the amended fiscal year budget again is $67,454,933. As of the end of July, 91% of funding sources are accounted for, with 64% expended and 3% encumbered. The city's total investment portfolio is just under $1.8 million, with the State Board of Administration account at approximately $1.2 million, the money market and certificate of deposit totaling approximately $553,000. Our cash holdings are just over $31.2 million. In conclusion, while the city revenues and expenses are in line with our budgetary and fiscal plan, we do expect to make some minor budget adjustments at year end, such as city attorney and recreation department being one. Fiscal year 26 budget development is in process. The last budget workshop was earlier today. We'll have our first public hearing September 8th. Final audit for fiscal year 25 is scheduled for late November, and I will be glad to entertain any questions you may have at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Now we have comments from citizen on the subject, not on the agenda.
Hello, good afternoon, Soria Lindberg. I just have something I think is a little silly, but I wanted to share it in a group of my peers. I got a notice that there is a neighborhood meeting this Wednesday, August 27th, 5:30 for a drive-through coffee shop. And I was like, that's interesting. Where is it? So I asked public records for it. It's going to be the little plot of land next to Wawa on 441 and 235, with an entrance to 235A, but it doesn't say the name of the company. So I was like, okay. So I called Kimley Horn, the name on the paper, and I said, what's the name of this coffee shop you're having a meeting for? And they said, we can't tell you. The developer wants to keep it an NDA, or I forget the term he used. So I just wanted people here to know that there is a neighborhood meeting Wednesday, August 27th, 5:30 at Legacy Park. And I'm just confused why you're going to have a neighborhood meeting but not say what it's for. Like, we get it's a coffee shop. What's the business? If it's something a little more controversial, then maybe the public should know about it too. For those who think coffee shops can be controversial. There was a rumor online it was a Starbucks, but I have no confirmation of that. So I just wanted to bring your attention because this would probably just go to PZB. It wouldn't probably come to your level. So I just want to let you know there's a secret coffee shop coming. Proposed.
Hello, my name is Lakeisha Jenkins, and I am here today to address an issue of a pit maneuver that was done on my car on December 1st of 2024. On December 1st, 2024, 2:30 in the morning, my kids and I were awoken. We woke up to sirens, horns, and flashing lights. There was a pit maneuver done on a car a quarter mile up the road from my house. And there was a second done in front of my house, which led to that car crashing into my car and ended up 5 feet in front of my bedroom window. There was pretty much a standoff because the person in the car was not cooperating. The police, there were 8 police following him, and there were 10 in front of him. There was no way he could go anywhere, but he ended up in front of my bedroom window with me and my kids, screaming, yelling, and panicking. They had guns drawn. He was having some kind of emotional issues, so they went and got shields. We had a terrible night. I'm gonna move it on because we had a terrible night. It was a bad night. But I was assured by Alachua police that my car will be taken care of. This was December 1st of 2024, and my car is still in my driveway in the same condition and position. It has not moved. I had it towed one time for an estimate, but after this accident, um, APD, ASO, they couldn't get it together. The sheriff's office, they couldn't get it together. So this guy's insurance company, they wouldn't honor my first claim of $1,800. They wouldn't honor my claim because he fled and eluded police. So I'm at a standstill. I have spoken with everyone all the way from Lieutenant Chalker. I have never spoken with Chief Sandusky ever since December 1st, 2024. I've called and called and called. I've never spoken with him. I've been paying car insurance for 8 months. When I found out last month, I went to this guy's court. His name is Montreal Flag. I went to his court and I don't know if I'm supposed to say his name, but I went to his court and the judge, I spoke with Judge Ferrero, gave me a chance to speak, and he was only required to pay the $3,500 for the second estimate that I received in March. Um, the bad thing is, this guy, we had the same lawyer. on a case with my daughter now because of conflict of interest. I can't represent, so his lawyer was asking for restitution, and I don't get my restitution back. I get nothing back. So just letting the court know he has a year to pay the $3,500, and the day July 21st when I went to his court, he paid $130, and that's the only payment I received. So he has a whole year to pay $3,500, not including the restitution of cars, rental, gas, all my restitution. I get none of that. 9 months of insurance that I paid without my car, I get none of that. Miss practices, miss church, miss everything, miss going to see my mama in Stark at the graveyard. I get none of that anymore because of an incident that I had nothing to do with. I've spoken to everybody I can speak with. Chad, Scott, I've spoken to everybody, and nothing's being done. And I just want to address that to the city to let you know that's what's going on. And I am a lifetime resident of Alachua, and I shouldn't have to go through that. Thank you.
Thank you. Will there be any other comments from the citizens? If not, we'll move on to committee reports. Oh, hey, I'm sorry.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Madam City Attorney. My name is Rodolfo Valadares, and I'm the City Manager for the City of Alachua. And I'm very pleased to stand before you to give you a progress report on the Hathcock Center and the work we've been doing. And so, there we go. So to give you a timeline, the progress we made today. So back at the beginning of August, we had the City Commission kickoff meeting where the strategy was explained and our path forward was dictated. We went ahead and sent mail outs to the community that uses the building. We had a staff coordination meeting on the 18th, and then we had a community workshop this past Thursday on the 21st. And so this workshop is the first of its kind here in the city of Alachua and is very, very unique and was very well received by the public. And so when the public did go to Hal Brady, the reason we did it there is because we had stations that were set for them to go through and do. Also, the turnout was quite large that the existing center could not hold them all. And so here's an example of the gym where they had different stations set, which was discussed by the professional on what they were looking at. This allowed each group, as they passed through, the opportunity to get their questions asked, their points of view addressed, and have an open dialogue with every single person that manned one of those stations. It was great public interaction. We received direct feedback, and we were able to address any conversation one-on-one with the residents at hand. The clicker's a bit slow. The other thing that was very unique is we were able to get very, very specific. And so we had general questions, which allowed us to refine each step more and more for them to actually put down in writing what they were hoping to see. It was an enjoyable experience. All the folks we spoke with had positive feedback with the way it was done. And here's a sample board of one of the concepts at the end. A lot of information, a lot of priorities were identified. They were able to put exactly what they wanted. And so with these workstations, we're going to gather all the information. We're going to filter it out, present it. So task to be completed is on the 9th in September, the architect will be presenting to you all of the feedback that they received, and then the building will start taking shape to capture all the wonderful ideas that were provided. Mailouts will go out at the beginning of the month. We will have the second staff coordination meeting, which is going to make sure setbacks are correct, parking spaces are properly allocated, stormwater, roadways, sidewalks are all properly being addressed. We will host the second community workshop, and as of right now, we're probably leaning to having it at the same building because, again, the layout and the amount of folks that did come out to see it. We'll have the second workshop there again. And then the concept of that building will be presented to the City Commission in, is that October? October. And so I just want to give you a quick progress report on what we've done. I want to keep you informed every step of the way. And it was a wonderful experience. The community has come out and they have defined what they look forward to bringing. We've had many folks go ahead and submit wonderful ideas, and I've always challenged them to dream bigger. And after speaking with them at this event, they did. And so I am not envious of your position next City Commission meeting, where you will be flooded with wonderful ideas and what we can do for this concept, and we'll move forward to making our Alachua a better place. So thank you for this opportunity. And the purpose of this presentation was just for information. Thank you, Mayor.
We'll move on to 4, public hearing in.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the first reading of ordinance 25-05, an ordinance of the City of Alachua, Florida, relating to the amendment of the city's land development regulations, LDRs, amending some Part B of the City of Alachua Code of Ordinances, land development regulations, amending Article 2 relating to the power and duties of the Planning and Zoning Board, amending Article 3 relating to the permitted density and intensity and purposes of the business districts, amending Article 4 relating to the use-specific standards and the creation of mixed-use specific standards, amending Article 5 relating to the permitted density and intensity of the business districts and establishing dimensional standards for mixed-use development, amending Article 6 relating to the off-street parking and loading standards and tree protection and landscaping standards for mixed-use developments, amending Article 10 relating to the definitions of development area and mixed use, providing a repealing clause, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance 25-05 of the City of Alachua by title only.
There we go. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Mr. City Manager, Madam City Attorney, Carson J. Crockett, Principal Planner with the City of Alachua Planning and Community Development Department. My resume is on file in the Office of the Deputy City Clerk. This item is a staff-initiated request for a text amendment to the City of Alachua Land Development Regulations, furthering the desired outcome of Strategic Initiative 4.2 and implementing the City of Alachua Comprehensive Plan. On December 9th, 2024, the City Commission adopted Ordinance 24-12, which established the commercial and mixed-use future land use categories in the Comprehensive Plan. This proposed text amendment to the LDRs would implement the mixed-use future land use categories by establishing specific standards for mixed-use development, density and intensity standards for mixed-use development, and dimensional standards for mixed-use development. The desired outcome of the proposed text amendment is to encourage infill development and redevelopment over greenfield development, in turn preserving more agricultural and conservation lands and promoting a more sustainable development pattern and mix of land uses. Here we have a brief timeline of the process that started back in 2021 when the City Commission established Strategic Initiative 4.2 in the City Strategic Plan, which directed staff to research and suggest methods of infill development, redevelopment, and transitional zoning methods. That research was then carried out in 2022 and 2023, and in 2024, staff took that research and conducted and developed proposed text amendments to the city's comprehensive plan and LDRs. This past December, the City Commission adopted Ordinance 24-12, as previously mentioned, which accomplished half of that, and this is the other half, which would be the LDR text amendments that accompany those. And on April 15th, 2024 is when that appeared before the Planning and Zoning Board, where they recommended approval of this text amendment. What we are discussing tonight generally deals with zone districts. However, no amendments to the official zoning atlas are proposed. Rather, the proposed text amendment would amend specific standards and establish new ones in some cases to allow for that mixed-use development to occur. Zone districts are part of the city's land development regulations, and they provide for specific regulations on what types of land uses may be developed on a given property. They provide for specific standards on how that land may be developed, And they may restrict development potential in terms of density, which we measure in dwelling units per acre, and intensity, which we measure in floor area ratio, within the allowable range of an associated feature land use category. Zone districts and land development regulations are meant to be more specific. Compatible zone districts are paired with less specific feature land use categories from the comprehensive plan so that development may be regulated more granularly. Every property within the city has both a future land use category designation and a zone district designation. Here we have the official zoning atlas for the city of Alachua. This white line running north and south, curving a little bit, is I-75. The white line running east-west, which is a bit narrow and curves a bit, that is US 441 for your reference. North is at the top of the map. These proposed text amendments would apply to the following zone districts. The Office Residential District, also known as the OR District, which is in a light blue color, generally centered in the city center. The Commercial Neighborhood District, also known as the CN District, and the salmon color is going to be in the same general area, mostly in this city center area there. The Community Commercial District, referred to as the CC District, in a coral or pinkish color, which is available, you can see one there, mostly along 441 and the central city. The Commercial Intensive District, or CI, which is the brighter red that we can see, again, mostly along 441. The Central Business District, also known as the CBD in blue, which is this more prominent blue spot in the very center of the map. And it could potentially apply in any new planned development district, but it would not retroactively apply to existing PDs. I want to be clear about that. Note the table of uses nor the official zoning atlas is changing. This is just to give you a bearing on what we're looking at. So I'll now go through a brief summary of the proposed amendments. A full breakdown is available in the staff report that was provided to you and in the ordinance. In Article 2, Administration, proposing to amend Section 2.1.3a, Designation as the local planning agency, to clarify the powers and duties of the Planning and Zoning Board to be completed with the assistance of the Planning and Community Development Department. This does not redirect any tasks or powers from the board, but just makes clear that the Planning and Community Development is there to support the board in those tasks. In Article 3, Zone Districts, amend Table 3.1-1 to establish establishment of base zone districts to include density standards specific to mixed-use development in the OR, CN, CC, and CBD zone districts, to establish density standards for the CI and ILW zone districts, and to establish intensity standards specific to mixed-use development. Additionally, in the paragraph portion of Section 3.5, business districts, that would be amended to reflect the addition of mixed-use development and the purposes of those business districts, and for consistency with that amended table. In Article 4, Use Regulations, proposing to amend Section 4.2.1c, Developments with Multiple Principal Uses, to reflect the addition of mixed-use development, which are inherently developments with multiple principal uses. Amend Section 4.3, Use-Specific Standards, to permit multiple family dwellings, single-family attached dwellings, townhomes, and 2 to 4 family dwellings in the CI zone district without requiring the presence of affordable housing units. Amend Section 4.3, Use-Specific Standards, to ensure that any compatible businesses that co-locate with residential uses in a mixed-use development are exempt from the separation requirements from said residential uses within that mixed-use development only. This is to make sure that if you have a restaurant on the ground floor with outdoor seating, but you have an apartment above, you don't have this weird 100-foot separation requirement, that there's a mismatch in that. But any other businesses that are outside of that mixed-use development still have to follow that standard, and you still have to follow the standard for that business with residential outside of that mixed-use development. Establish Section 4.7, Mixed-Use Specific Standards, to establish criteria that a development must meet to be classified as mixed-use development for the purposes of the land development regulations. This is where we're ensuring that that mixed-use development gets redirected towards smaller lots and more infill scenarios. And then additionally in that section, provide additional standards for mixed-use developments. Some of those include orientation of off-street parking and building orientation, and protections from buildings adjacent to single-family detached development.
In Article 5, Density, Intensity, and Dimensional Standards, establish Table 5.1-4, Table of Dimensional Standards for Mixed-Use Developments in the Business Zoning Districts. This is to ensure that if we have a mismatch between a residential land use and a business land use that have different requirements for those setbacks, that they can have one set of standards to follow. And in Article 6, Development Standards, amend Section 6.1.4b to include a new required off-street parking reduction of 25% for mixed-use developments located in the OR, CN, or CC zone districts. There's a pre-existing reduction of 50% in the CBD zone district. This would be a 25% only for mixed-use developments that qualify by our standards in the OR, CN, or CC zone districts. The idea being that mixed-use developments are inherently meant to be more compact, more walkable, and more intermodal. Amend Section 6.2.2, Landscaping Standards, to establish mixed-use development landscape standards. This, again, is another one of those making sure we don't have a mismatch between two use standards. We have one set of standards to follow. And likewise with Section 6.2.2 D3, perimeter buffers. The greater of the two perimeter buffers would apply in that case. And lastly, in Article 10, definitions, amend the definition for development area to apply to both mixed-use development and conservation subdivisions. Currently, that definition is tailored solely for conservation subdivisions. This would keep that definition exactly the same, but add in a specific definition tailored for mixed-use development. And then amend the definition for mixed use to refer back to that criteria established in the new Section 4.7 to ensure that it's not missed. It's very much clear what you have to meet. Establishing these mixed-use development standards would not change the type or style of development currently permitted in the city. Rather, the amendment adds a new option for development in the city, potentially promoting and encouraging added flexibility and infill development opportunities, in diversifying housing stock, and in local business opportunities, while limiting the density and intensity of various zone districts. In September 2023, the City Commission adopted the fiscal year 2024 strategic plan, renewing Strategic Initiative 4.2, which states, quote, develop strategies to ensure cohesive and compatible development to accommodate the growth of infill development and redevelopment within the city, end quote. Strategic Initiative 4.2 was renewed by the City Commission when the fiscal year 2025 strategic plan was adopted. And again, this initiative does go back to 2021 originally. The fiscal year 2025 strategic plan directs the Planning and Community Development Department to complete the public hearing process for staff-initiated comprehensive plan and LDR text amendments, which will allow for more residential development to occur in areas designated as non-residential, which is the process we're currently undergoing, and to revise dimensional tables to increase densities and intensities in a targeted manner and promote mixed-use development with a residential component. This proposed text amendment directly addresses these two action steps for Strategic Initiative 4.2 from that fiscal year 2025 strategic plan. The application has been reviewed for consistency with the City of Alachua Comprehensive Plan. Specific goals, objectives, and policies that support the proposed text amendment are located in the vision, future land use, transportation, housing, and conservation and open space elements. An evaluation of consistency with specific goals, objectives, and policies is included in that staff report in your packets. That said, I do want to take a moment to call out a few specific comprehensive plan policies, as several policies and different elements all call out specific actions to take regarding mixed-use development and why. In the transportation element, Policy 15E reads, quote, where feasible, the city will encourage strategies to facilitate development patterns that support multimodal solutions, including urban design and appropriate land use mixes, including intensity and density, end quote. In the housing element, Policy 11I reads, quote, the city shall establish land use designations and zoning districts that accommodate mixed-use development consisting of residential with commercial and or retail, end quote. And in the conservation open space element, Policy 14F reads, quote, the city shall promote mixed use and compact development to promote pedestrian, golf cart, and bicycle traffic and reduce automobile dependence, end quote. These are only a few of the comprehensive plan policies that explicitly mention mixed-use development and how the city shall go about implementing such development into the LDRs. And to be clear, these are longstanding policies that were not part of the December amendment. These were there long before that. Section 2.4.1 of the city's land development regulations establishes the standards with which all text amendments to the land development regulations must be found compliant. Those standards are listed here on the screen, but I will now go through and give a brief overview of each. A full analysis is also in the staff report. Consistent with comprehensive plan. The proposed text amendment does not conflict with any goals, objectives, or policies in the city's comprehensive plan. An analysis of consistency with the city's comprehensive plan has been included in the staff report, and we just went over that. Consistent with ordinances. The proposed text amendment does not conflict with any other provisions of the city's land development regulations or code of ordinances. Changed conditions. The proposed text amendment was initiated in response to the adoption of Ordinance 24-12, which amended the city's comprehensive plan by establishing commercial and mixed-use future land use categories per Initiative 4.2. This text amendment would implement both the amended sections and some existing sections of the city's comprehensive plan. Community need. The City of Alachua fiscal year 2025 strategic plan outlines the community need for the proposed text amendment. Goal 4 focuses on residential opportunities, with Strategic Initiative 4.2 stating that, quote, "It is important the city continues to examine how infill development and redevelopment are best encouraged and facilitated, particularly via the comprehensive plan and LDRs, with a focus on the efficient utilization of land resources, compatibility with existing density and residential development, a variety of residential development options, and efficient delivery of public services," end quote. Compatible with surrounding uses. The proposed text amendment does not alter existing residential protection or other compatibility standards, except where it improves that compatibility internal to that mixed-use development. The proposed text amendment focuses on mixed-use development and targeted density increases to promote that infill development, which is expected to result in a more efficient long-term pattern of development. Development patterns. As previously stated, the proposed text amendment focuses on that targeted density increase to promote that infill development for that longer term benefit and development pattern. Effect on natural environment. The proposed text amendment does not alter any existing environmental protection standards and should not impact the natural environment. Public facilities. The proposed text amendment includes targeted density and intensity increases. However, the amendment promotes more compact mixed-use development and infill development, reducing the need and cost of public utility extensions and long-term maintenance. Additionally, the city recognizes that mixed-use development reduces transportation needs, including automobile trip generation, by placing necessary shopping and employment within close proximity to housing, improving multi-mobility. So I've gone over a lot of information, so I'm going to give you guys a brief recap, and then I'll be able to answer any questions you may have. This item only proposes a text amendment to the land development regulations. The official zoning atlas and the table of allowed uses are not being amended. The proposed text amendment implements the recent establishment of mixed-use future land use categories in Ordinance 24-12. The amendment would allow for development to incorporate commercial and residential elements into unified developments, encouraging compact and infill development and increased housing stock diversity. The desired outcome is to encourage infill development and redevelopment over greenfield development, which would in turn preserve more agricultural and conservation lands and promote a more sustainable development pattern and mix of land uses. The zoning districts that would be eligible for the mixed-use development with varying densities and intensities appropriate for that zone district are the OR, CN, CC, CBD, and CI zone districts. And future PDs may have the opportunity to take advantage of these standards, but current PDs would not be affected. These proposed text amendments were initiated in direct response to the city's strategic plan and support the intent of and furthers the city's vision and strategic initiative 4.2. And lastly, the proposed text amendment is consistent with the City of Alachua comprehensive plan and in compliance with the land development regulations. On April 15th, 2025, the Planning and Zoning Board voted 4-0 to transmit the proposed text amendment to the City Commission with a recommendation to approve. Staff recommends that the City Commission find the proposed text amendment to the City of Alachua Land Development Regulations to be consistent with the City of Alachua Comprehensive Plan and in compliance with the city's land development regulations. And 1, approve Ordinance 2505 upon first reading, and 2, schedule second and final reading for September 8th, 2025. I'm now available to answer any questions you may have, and thank you for bearing with me.
Would any of the other commissioners want to start? No? All right. Hey, Carson, congrats again on your AICP.
Thank you.
So I noticed on there you said it was the OR, the CN, the CC, CBD, CI. However, you forgot to mention that industrial light warehouse. Even though it's not given a mixed use, we did end up adding a density of for it in this.
Mr. Mayor, that is correct, and I did mention that when I went over the summary of amendments. But I didn't mention it in the mixed use portion because it would not be eligible for mixed use development. It would only be given that base density of 8.
Recently, 2023, the state passed the Live Local law, which basically allows when a development has a certain percentage of affordability, they're allowed to exceed what would normally be like the zone density for that area. By adding this mixed use density, what are we looking at on the impact of Live Local and increasing our densities with those types of projects?
That is a great question, Mr. Mayor. So, Mr. Mayor, that would end up, we're not going past 20 dwelling units an acre, which is what was already passed in the comprehensive plan. And since the comprehensive plan allows 20 dwelling units an acre, that is already possible today through the Live Local Act. So this would not exceed that in any way, shape, or form. If they wanted to come in with a mixed use component, they would still be limited to the 20 dwelling units an acre, providing the affordable housing option. But they could still have a small component of non-residential with that, but they could also do that in the CBD district. So it's nothing more than what's already proposed to be permitted from these amendments.
Awesome, thank you. Other things on here is, were you the only planner working on this, or were other hands involved with designing this LDR?
Oh, Mr. Mayor, absolutely not. I was not the only planner working on this. These were drafted over a years-long process between myself and the former planners, and these did get a glance over by the new planning director. However, it had already gone to the Planning and Zoning Board by the time he came on board.
When we're looking at the office residential and the other ones that were picked here, can you walk me through the process as your thought process is why you guys decided to choose those districts?
So we basically wanted to choose anything that was already a commercial district, not a business district, but a commercially focused district. That's why ILW and IG were left out. And part of that is because we knew that through Live Local, you would already be able to get up to that. And that was a factor in how we came to those standards. The other factor is the OR and CN district, particularly the CN district, is supposed to be more commercial, neighborhood scale, corner store oriented. There are a lot of cases where you'll end up with somebody who maybe they want to live in their store. That's more so what that's tailored to. There's a strict 10,000 square foot max in the non-residential floor area there that is being kept from the current density. And when we look at the smaller lots, although you're giving them a density that's a little bit higher because it's mixed use, it's really not making a big impact because of how small those lots typically are. We only have a small handful of CN. As far as OR, office residential is pretty limited in the city as it is, so there shouldn't be a big impact there.
Thank you. Good answer. I thought it was well explained. What is the total acreage we're looking at with applying this to our districts throughout the city? We're increasing density here, but what is the grand scale of how many acreage total is this being applied to?
So, Mr. Mayor, it's a difficult question to answer because while we did look at the overall acreage, which I don't have off the top of my head, these can only apply to lands that are under 10 acres in size, the mixed use ones at least. So, or it has to be part of a PD. So there's a lot of lands that will automatically be disqualified from this, from those increased densities. The other densities we were mostly pre-established, but they weren't explicit in the code, which was creating a bit of a mismatch in how we were trying to administer it. So that was kind of where we were at with that. So we don't expect to see a huge impact outside of the city center. The city center is really where these were tailored for.
I started reading a little bit more on development and stuff, and there's I think his name was Kevin Lynch. Are you familiar with him?
Mr. Mayor, I don't know the name off the top of my head, but I'm sure I read something by him at some
There's
point.
a concept of like paths and nodes when looking at a city.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So you're going to start seeing where I'm going with this.
Mhm.
Okay. So when we're looking at this, right, and we're talking about infill and having a targeted infill where we're saying, okay, we don't want to have it spurting off in this direction, spurting off in this direction. How is this ensuring that? Like how when we're crafting something that says to address infill, but we're looking at something that is affecting, at least this LDR is affecting like 6 different areas. Like, how are we ensuring that that's actually what this is doing and not just giving a pass to increase density and increase just development with this?
Mr. Mayor, that's another good question. And it really comes down to, again, the mixed use specific standards that we've established to rein in who can take advantage of those mixed use standards and those mixed use densities and intensities. If you don't mind, I'll go through some of those right now. Number one, the proposed development area has to be less than 10 acres in size. There's very few commercial lots that are actually going to meet that right off the bat. So already then we start looking at more pre-urbanized areas, if you will, already urbanized areas. And even then, another criteria is that you have to be within an eighth of a mile radius or less. It goes a little bit bigger than the 10 acres depending on how that parcel's drawn, but in most cases that also reins it in and makes it so that one developer can't come in and make this sprawling, huge mixed-use development without getting your prior approval through a PD. Additionally, there's a standard of a mix of non-residential and residential, a standard that you must have a minimum of 20% of the maximum permitted density of the development area. So if you're allowed 10 dwelling units, you have to have at least 2, for example, and then a 15% of the total floor area for non-residential areas. That's to make sure that we don't get one person coming in here, a developer coming in here saying, I'm going to put one penthouse here that makes this mixed use. That's not going to cut it. That's to make sure they don't put a vending machine down in the bottom or an ATM down in the bottom and go, mixed use. That's not going to cut it. So that's kind of how we looked at making sure that it didn't go everywhere.
So that's leading into my next question, like the reverse side of that. When we're looking at, okay, 15% for mixed use is considered low compared to other municipalities. When they look at mixed use, you're looking at 25 to 35%, or even up to 50% when we're talking about mixed use versus residential. Why are we going with a density or a commercial portion that's much lower when they could do this part, which is say, okay, I just need to put that vending machine there, and now I can have, a 5-story apartment complex.
So Mr. Mayor, that comes back to the strategic initiative, which was to focus on the residential component of the mixed use and those infill opportunities. It was less, the goal of that initiative was less directed towards the commercial aspect. So in a sense, we didn't want to make it so that we ended up with too much commercial when the goal was to get more residential in areas that otherwise wouldn't be able to have it.
Another thing on here, we mentioned, I think it was 1.4F of the comprehensive plan, referencing conservation and I think it was like mobility. So I was on the presentation. Just elaborate more on like how you envision this, because what I hear is planning. It's part science, part art. As one of the artists on this, just paint me the picture.
Yeah, so in planning, we have 2 real methods of accomplishing our goal. We have the carrot and we have the stick. The stick is a lot harder to use in our position, especially with the passage of Senate Bill 180, where we really can't make things more restrictive. So we look at what the carrot is. And the carrot in this case is that a lot of low-hanging fruit for developers is that green open field space. If we can make the infill development just a little bit more desirable to them, give them just a little bit more in the density and intensity area, they might be more willing to come into the infill and build there first before they deal with any of the greenfield aspect. So that's the concept that we're looking there with something like this.
And I think you were touching on something that's going to be on the agenda later. You were referencing SB 180, is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Mayor.
And so like right now, if we were to like try and like create an LDR that was more constrictive, we wouldn't be able to do that because of that Senate bill.
Mr. Mayor, that's my understanding.
Thank you.
All right. Who's next?
Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that based upon the competent, substantial evidence presented at this hearing, the presentation before this commission and staff's recommendation, this commission finds the proposed text amendment to the City of Alachua land development regulations to be consistent with the City of Alachua's comprehension plan and in compliance with the city's land development regulations. And one, approve ordinance 25-05 upon first reading. And two, schedule the second and final reading of ordinance 2505 for the September 8th, 2025 City Commission meeting.
I'd like to second it, Mr. Mayor, but before I do that, can I get one last question out of you, Carson, on this? I just need to confirm this. One of the things on here, I think there was like.
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry,
Mr. Mayor. There's a motion on the floor, so I think we should second it first, then discuss.
Okay. I'll second that. All right. Last question. Do we currently have in our LDRs and our current processes that if we go through with this and we're dealing with these higher densities, right? And we're dealing with like, say, the impact on like our downtown, because I know our downtown has a very unique aesthetic that we're all, I would say a lot of us love, right? And we don't want to lose that. Currently in our LDRs at this moment, okay, or our ordinances, do we have mechanisms in place to keep the aesthetic and feel of our downtown without, if this goes through, without having, like large, like 3 stories, 4 stories that would contradict what I think many of us enjoy of our city?
Mr. Mayor, that's another great question. We currently have business design standards that would have to apply to these buildings because they have businesses in them. So that's one. Two, if they are within the historic district portion of the downtown, they will be required to receive a certificate of appropriateness, which gives us a lot more flexibility on what we can require of them for architectural standards to make sure it meets everything. And then the third note I would make is that the height of these buildings would still be limited next to single family residential, which is a vast majority of our central city area currently.
Thank you.
Now we'll take a vote. I'm sorry, we will have comments. We'll have comments from the public.
Hi, my name is Sarah Younger, and I'm a resident of High Springs, but I'm here to listen and learn. And first off, I want to commend you on making an attempt to allow for infill. We all know sprawl is a problem for our region, and I'm glad that you're addressing this. I also, though, had a little bit of questions about the maps that were presented. It's rather difficult in looking at those to understand the areas that are impacted by this. I think there was at least a half a dozen different designations, and the colors on the map, especially if you have trouble seeing color. Some people do. I think it's very difficult to understand exactly what portions of the city are under examination for this change. I also wanted to add that it might help us in the future if those maps were made available in a way to understand exactly what roadways. I know you mentioned the highways, the major portions, but it doesn't really give you the a full picture of the designations. And then lastly, um, I urge you to, when looking at these types of decisions, as much as possible to give people as much time as they can to look at what that means for them. I don't know if there are examples of what a mixed use constructed area looks like. Are you talking Tioga style? Like, what exactly are you meaning in those definitions and how it might change the characteristics of those areas? That's all. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Manager, Madam Attorney. My name is Tamara Robbins. I'm just going to challenge y'all a little bit to ask yourselves, do you completely, fully understand this complexity of this Ordinance 25-05 and exactly where it will be applied throughout the city? As the previous speaker stated, and I agree, there's no visuals. Like, this is all written in a text format. It's hard to grasp. For me personally, I'm a visual person, where that is going to apply and what it will look like. So if you ask yourself that question, do you fully understand and can you visualize what this could mean to the entire city of Alachua? And you say, yes, you completely grasp that. Congratulations. If you don't, I think that you should pass this back to the Planning and Zoning Board and let them have a workshop and go over this. I mean, this is a very comprehensive LDR changes. It's overlaying, it's multifaceted. It includes language that applies to the Planning and Zoning Board and the staff's involvement, and then all these districts. And the planner said, it's a carrot to try to get developers to develop in the already urbanized areas before they start clawing at the green space. Well, I think we should leave that green space. So that doesn't give me any assurances, because infill in what I have seen happen in the city is anything within the city's boundaries is infill. And the city's boundaries are bigger than Gainesville. So everything seems to be fair game. And this is very concerning. It's popping up all over the place. It is sprawl development. I mean, come on, Turkey Creek is a sprawl development. The core of the city is right here where we're sitting. So sprawling 10 miles down to 43rd is sprawl development. So I'm just asking you to make sure you understand this. This is a big deal. And I just don't think you fully grasp it, because I'll bet you very few people in this room do. I mean, I don't, without seeing it and working through each piece of it. So this is a legislative decision. You are under no pressure to pass it. You are setting law, and this is what the Planning and Zoning Board's hands are going to be tied to. And then when a developer does come in and meet these LDR requirements, they cannot say no. So this is the point of power. This is where you determine what the laws are, and it is legislative. You don't like it, you don't understand it, you vote no, and you get more information. You all can have a workshop so that you really understand what you're doing. It's really important for the future of this community, and you know it. Okay, the people want change and they want to protect what we have, and we're losing it fast. So please consider. Thank you.
Good evening, Brian Bisher, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Mr. Valadares, and Madam Attorney. I concur with the last two speakers. I think that there's been plenty of time to give you a more in-depth analysis of the impacts of this particular change, and this is a significant change. You have areas within this that are increasing density by 50%. And then you're also having areas that are decreasing parking requirements by 25%. So what are the actual impacts of that? I've been to multi-use places and tried to park. It's a pain, right? And you've got 10 miles has been described of 441. And all along there, you have areas that have been approved for these types of zoning. And so does that mean you're going to have pockets of these town centers that are going to basically be pulling away from downtown to the detriment of downtown? And you all have been here to try to build up downtown. This could possibly be the death knell for it. So I encourage you to get more data. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to item 5. Oh, I'm sorry.
Good evening. I apologize for being a little late there to jump up to the mic. Thank you all for this evening. And Rudy Rothsiden. It's been a while since I've been here, and I remember first looking at this earlier this year, and it's the way it's labeled. It sounds good, right? We want to, centralize things, but are we really doing what it says? Is the bill that No Child Left Behind, is it really not leaving a child behind? Is this really what we're setting forth to increase densities, and what does that look like? I it I haven't heard from the three commissioners other than Mr. Fletcher, who really apparently has done his homework on this. He had some very good questions, done some research, and I would hope that our other commissioners would have questions on a large LDR change of this magnitude, um, eh, than just to have someone read it to you and say, okay, let's go with it. No questioning, no, it just bodes to the thought that some of these ideas are very complex and we might not know exactly what it means. And so I think about this, 10-acre spots. Okay, so that means we're going to have a lot more land subdivided into 10-acre spots. And how's that going to affect? The LDRs are the rules in which we play. I look at, I question what the actual densities are and how much they are going to increase, and what does that mean for our current infrastructure. I also, Article 6 was talking about landscaping. Um, I don't know, a little crepe myrtle tree never can replace a giant oak. And if we're going to, and we're changing standards of which some of these mixed uses can develop and landscape. So I just think there should be a lot more questions to this, and not just a reading and have one commissioner ask questions and no one else has any other questions other than just say, let's go ahead forward with it. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Attorney. I'm David Weisner, Economic Development Manager for the city. I want to lend my support to this amendment because it would help the city's downtown district specifically, and also because it is environmentally the smart thing to do to allow for future growth that would not require green space be developed. As we all know, change one way or another in life is inevitable. And when it comes to communities, it is impossible to maintain a perfect status quo. A community is either growing or it's shrinking. The only thing a community can hope to manage is the speed, the extent, and the type of growth that it experiences. To that end, if a community like Alachua desires to maintain its rural identity while at the same time allowing for some level of growth, the best way of doing so is maintaining a large amount of green space while not stifling business and residential growth opportunities. And the best way of doing that is to allow opportunity to expand upward. This summer, I took my daughter on tours of several colleges on the West Coast, And I was struck in particular by Vancouver and the campus of the University of British Columbia. Vancouver it's a very large city, of course, but it's also a very environmentally conscious large city. And there is a lot of green space, both in it and on the university's campus. But it's striking how much growth is occurring in both places as construction cranes dotted the landscape, and all of them were constructing buildings going up. Allowing for upward development is the ideal way to foster continued growth in a community and environmental stewardship while maintaining a rural feel to the community, which is a goal of the city's comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Hi, Story Lindbergh. I agree that building up is a great thing to do, especially for conservation and green space. But can someone tell me when you, in this to build up, are you going to save space for green? Because it sounds like things are getting smaller and the green can't just be a golf course. Like when you have a plot of land and you want to do the mixed use to go up, in my mind, I'm not a planner, I don't work here, but I'm afraid that moving up, you're just going to have like a block in Brooklyn. So 10 acres of just Tioga, just up, 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 up. And I don't even know where the green space is in Tioga. So just up is good, but you got to have the green with it. Because if it's all up, then it's just concrete and we get heat islands and everything like that. So I don't know if there is a mechanism in it to preserve even more green. So when I see the map, there's a lot of PD com, there's a lot of PD development, especially next to Briarwood on 441, where you go to High Springs, acres and acres and acres that could be developed commercial. Tower Hill's wants to put a lot of commercial. The Hammock is going to have commercial. So, but I haven't seen, so I look forward to seeing where those plans could have green. So yeah, up is good with green. So just to think of that.
Will there be any more comments? If not, we'll take a vote. I'll start with Commissioner Fletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to put a little explanation for the record for my vote on this. One, thank you, Carson. This is a big LDR. There's a lot of moving parts that are going on with this, and I can only imagine the amount of back and forth flipping between that big book you had to do on that. So I really want to thank you for the effort and really taking this by the reins to accomplish. And I think everyone here agrees is that we want the info, we want to build up, we don't want to build up. But one of the questions that I have with this is the intention is right, but is the time right for this right now? Because we're looking at I think a couple thousand homes right now that we already have on the slate to be built. However, they haven't even started construction yet because if you look at the current housing market with loan rates and that, it's not profitable for these companies. So what we're doing right now is we're trying to increase in this density, right? In a very, to me, it feels like a very broad pattern. While we're already sitting on several thousands of homes, and so we're just building up all these lands to have this stuff just so that when the time is right, when it is profitable, we're just going to get dumped with all this construction. And to me, that's not in my mind personally. I don't think that's good planning for myself is to allow all this stuff and then say, all right, when you guys want to do it, we're going to deal with it versus, we're doing it now. And so when we're looking at this, I think we need to be more precise with our direction on how this mixed use is applied to our zones within our city, really focusing on the core of the city. And then from there, once we really want to push out, we can look at that stuff because one of the big things with mixed use and infill is urban transportation. How are we connecting these things? I know from the strategic plan, there's a plan that's in the works right now on helping address this, right? But we don't have it implemented now, and it's going to be a long time before that's implemented. So why are we going to start building these islands or pushing these like higher development islands with the reduced parking and all this stuff before any of this other stuff is in place. So what I would like to see, one way or another, how this vote goes is taking a look at this and then uh, reducing the scope on this in terms of where it's being applied and focused on a smaller portion of the city. But again, I do want to appreciate the planning department and Carson. I know you got thrown into this and you've done a great job. I really liked your explanations. I thought they were on point and they were very clear. But with that, I'm going to have to say no.
Oh, Commissioner
Aye.
Vice Mayor
Aye.
and the mayor vote aye.
And Mr. Mayor, you may want to put on the record that we are missing one commissioner tonight. So when you're having votes that are not 5 votes, it would be apparent on the record.
Um, Commissioner Ringerson is not here, so our votes will go. We push it past 2-1, 3-1. So we'll move to item 5. Oh, excuse me. Item B.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will go ahead and read this by title only. This is Ordinance 25-11, an ordinance of the City of Alachua, Florida, amending the following sections of Chapter 38 of the City of Alachua Code of Ordinances. Select Section 38-99A, increasing the water meter installation charge. 38-101A, increasing the water capital facilities charge. 38-102A1, increasing the water monthly customer charge for each metered point of connection to the city water system. Section 38-102A2, increasing the monthly water availability charge for each metered point of connection to the city's water system. Section 38-102A3, increasing the water consumption charges for residential service, non-residential service, and irrigation service. Section 38 139A, increasing the wastewater capital facilities charge. Section 38-140A1, increasing the wastewater monthly customer charge for each metered point of connection to the city water system. Section 38-140A2, increasing the wastewater usage charges for residential service and non-residential service. Section 38-141A1, increasing the reclaimed water monthly customer charge for each metered point of connection to the city reclaimed water system. Section 38-141A2, increasing the reclaimed water usage charge, providing for repeal of all ordinances in conflict, providing for inclusion in the city code, and providing an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance 25-11 of the City of Alachua by title only.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Attorney. My name is Michael Carrillo, Director of Public Services for the City of Alachua. Tonight is our second reading of the city's utility rates ordinance for this coming fiscal year. Our slogan in public services is Together We Serve. The City of Alachua is known as the Good Life community, partly because of the quality services we provide our residents. Of the many quality services the City of Alachua provides its residents, clean drinking water and sanitary wastewater services are among the most foundational and essential. Our rates for these services are reviewed annually to assure that we continue to provide these services at this same level of quality the level expected by our residents and required by the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. For both water production and wastewater treatment, costs are adjusted annually due to increases in expenses, for instance, the cost of energy and of chemicals. The remainder of cost increases are associated with the maintenance and operation of our infrastructure. Operating costs also include Florida Department of Environmental Protection permitting, meeting operational and maintenance standards, monitoring requirements, reporting, staffing and licensing requirements, and meeting quality standards. These costs are passed on to our customers in the form of utility bills for monthly usage. We will further discuss how this proposed change in rates will affect individual customers' bills later in this presentation. The average single-family household in the city of Alachua uses 4,691 gallons of water per month. Factors that come into play when setting rates include stable and sufficient revenue, fair and equitable pricing, cost-based rates, and revenue adequate to cover expenses. Staff is proposing to increase water rates by 5% and wastewater rates by 3%. Last year, we implemented a 7% and 5% increase, respectively. For fiscal year 26, the Florida Public Service Commission has identified a water and wastewater utility price index of 2.23% as the increase necessary to keep pace with the rising costs and infrastructure needs. This index is published similar to the Consumer Price Index. It is better to make small increases regularly to stay up with inflation than to make big increases when you have to catch up to rising costs. If approved, a typical residential customer with water and wastewater service will experience a $2.74 per month increase in their utility bill. First, we'll talk more about the proposed water rates. The city of Alachua has a total of 4,869 water customers. For our 3,841 residential water customers, a typical water bill should show a $1.30 per month increase. For our 468 commercial water customers, a typical water bill would show a $6.33 per month increase. And for our 560 irrigation customers, a typical water bill would show a $3.47 per month increase. Depending on meter size, the water availability charge would increase by 5% monthly for all of our customers. And this is how the city of Alachua's residential water rates have compared to those of some of our neighbors and the state average. Our water rates have been the lowest in the area. Next, we'll talk about proposed wastewater rates. The city of Alachua has a total of 3,688 wastewater customers. For our 3,312 residential wastewater customers, a typical wastewater bill would show a $1.44 per month increase. For our 376 non-residential wastewater customers, a typical wastewater bill would show a $10.83 per month increase. And this is how the city of Alachua's residential wastewater rates have compared to those of some of our neighbors and the state average. Our wastewater rates have been the second lowest in the state, in the area. My apologies. Next, we'll talk about proposed reclaim water rates. This is an aerial view of the city of Alachua's advanced wastewater treatment facility. And this is the chlorine contact tank, the last stage of the process that makes reclaimed water out of sewer water. If approved, our reclaimed water rates will increase by 3%. And we will now discuss our proposed capital facilities charges. Capital facilities charges pay for the infrastructure required to provide our water and wastewater services. They pay for our pipes and tanks and wells. Capital facilities charges pay for our advanced wastewater treatment plant. Staff is proposing an increase in water rates by 5% and wastewater rates by 3%. And remember, it's better to make small increases regularly to stay up with inflation than to make big increases when you have to catch up to rising costs. Our water distribution system consists of 106 miles of water lines. And our water production facility includes 4 wells, 3 existing wells, plus one that will be ready to use by the end of the year. And we'll be having our ribbon cutting at that project at the end of October. Hope you'll all be able to come. Our wastewater collection system consists of 80 miles of gravity and force main piping plus 31 lift stations. And these charges help pay for the city's capital investment in our advanced wastewater treatment plant. Lastly, we'll now discuss our proposed water meter installation charges. Water meter installation charges are proposed to increase by 5%. Water and wastewater capital facilities charges plus water meter installation fees result in a $297 increase in the cost to build a new home. Because our residents have a hometown municipally owned utility company. This graph shows how the City of Alachua's residential electric rates compare to those of the municipals and IOUs in Florida, and our electric rates are the lowest in the state. And not changing this year, by the way. Advantages of keeping your hometown utility healthy. Healthy growth is necessary for a vibrant, not shrinking community. It provides rate stability because we're in charge of our own destiny for the most part. Local responsiveness in outage restoration time. Financial support for local government functions like the 4th of July fireworks. And support for community priorities like Great American Cleanup, Government Week, which will be coming in October also, and Access Alachua Wi-Fi in the parks. We also provide customer engagement with our customers by providing newsletter postcards for the fats, oils, and grease notification, water conservation, electric outage notification comes in June, mosquito notification mid-July, and solid waste collection public notification is in November. And to summarize, if approved, a typical residential customer will, with both water and wastewater service, will experience a $2.74 monthly increase in their utility bill. Tonight is the second reading of Ordinance 25-11. The recommended action is to approve Ordinance 25-11 on this second and final reading for implementation on or after October 1, 2025. Together we serve. Thank you. The end. Any questions? You were waiting for the end, I know.
No, just a comment, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Carrillo, thank you again for a very thorough presentation and explaining each section of it in good detail, not just for us to understand, but for the public to understand. So thank you.
You're welcome.
If there's no other questions or comments from this dais, I'm prepared to make a motion. I move to approve Ordinance 25-11 on second reading to become effective October 1st, 2025.
I'll second that.
It's been moved to second. We'll take a vote. Oh, I'm sorry. Public comments first.
Thank you all, Rudy Rothside. I just wanted to thank Mr. Carrillo for that report. I didn't realize how, comparing our rates to other parts of the state, how low they were. I really applaud them, our staff, for trying to make our community affordable for all. I just, at this moment, just because you mentioned a lot of our staff members and the people that are where the rubber meets the road, connections and waterworks, electric. I meet a lot of those gentlemen, and they do a lot of hard work. And we had a water main break on 146th. I watched the guy basically scuba dive on and off for a day trying to repair an 8-inch water main. You know, the downside of that is how much water was lost, but you know they worked really hard to do it and accomplish that goal. Um, I would I just how does my only question on something along this line is on the water loss type of things. I've had some tenants, with some bills that got high, and thank you for this. In the departments, they've been able to minimize or reduce some of the charges, saying it didn't go to our wastewater facility. I really appreciate that. Um, but how do we calculate for old pipes and breakages that happen on our streets and stuff that way? Would be my only question to that. But thanks again, Mr. Krill. Really appreciate it.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners, Attorney, Interim City Manager. My name's James Jim Carrington. Do want to speak to you. I appreciate the presentation. We have a budget to vote on, I guess, in another couple of meetings or whenever that is. But but I do want to share with you, I did get a letter in the mail from Social Security that I got a raise of 2.7%. If I'm going to write, maybe I should write maybe who would you suggest I write to complain that my water bill just went up, my utility bill went up. So I don't want it just said simply because we have the best rates, and I appreciate the work that City of Alachua does, and I'm in favor of the motion. But it doesn't deny, thank God I saved a few dollars, and I'll be able to pay my bills. But there are many seniors and older people out there who are living on their Social Security, and the 2.7% will not meet that. Make sure that those people that develop budgets, develop rates, understand that when they ask you to approve it, you're the ones that telling me, we don't care, Jim, how much money you got. What we care about is we got to meet our payments. I've supported, but there are some that can't. So thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I may ask this, Mr. Interim City Manager, a question. Thank you. Rodolfo, does the city of, let me try that again. City of Alachua has a volunteer program. I don't remember what we call it. I want to say Alachua Cares, but, and it has to do with voluntary donations by our residents if they want to donate into a program that offers assistance on utility bills for those that are in need. Am I?
Yes, I think I know what you're hitting
Can you
towards.
please help me out? Okay.
Yes, I'm getting the heads nodded by the back. We do have that structure in place. And so if anybody wants to, like you point out, help those that are in need, please contact me. I can point them in the right direction. Yes, ma'am.
And it can be done either on a one-time basis or on a recurring basis
Mr. Mayor,
as well?
that's correct. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commission, Mr. Interim Manager, Madam Attorney. My name is Tamara Robbins. I was thinking the same thing, that Social Security is slated to go up 2.7%, and the latest FPSC recommends index is 2.23%. So I think you just shouldn't be going up like a total of 8%. Like, that's the index that says that that's a reasonable amount increase. Probably nobody who gets a 5%, 10% increase in their salaries, and certainly Social Security didn't do it. I'm wondering if this ordinance is supposed to have the business impact estimate form that's required by state law. I would like that clarified because I don't see it here and I don't think it was done, and it is a law that all ordinances that are passed have to have a business impact estimate form, and this would definitely impact businesses. So that's a question because that's a legal requirement. The other thing is, so the capital facility charges, I didn't see that broken out, the total of. So what I want to know is, do the capital facility charges that are being charged for new businesses, developers to hook into the system, is that covering the cost of extending these facilities? Is it fully covering the cost? Or are the increased rates that are being put on me and all the residents who live here and have been here for years and continue to get every year, the rates are jacked up. So why don't you have somebody do the math where you don't impose increases, because you're going to increase taxes too, on the citizens who live here, and take that number and then make the number bigger on the capital facility charges for the new developers. So new development pays its own way, rather than the people that have been living here for their whole lives, and we get our rates jacked up every year. Something else I'd like you to look at. So during Hurricane Helene, a big tree came down and hit my house, and in the process, it broke my outside spigot, and I was not home. And water gushed out of my spigot at a serious pressure. Thousands of gallons of water went out until somebody could come over and turn it off, because tree came down at midnight. Nobody knew that it happened until like 6 a.m. The city told me the only thing they could do was adjust my wastewater charge. So I had to pay for all that lost water. I mean, it was disheartening, of course, to lose so much water, but nope, not going to give me a break. Nope, Miss Robbins, you don't get a break. And I just don't think that's right. That there should be some leniency to be able to assist the citizens when tragedy strikes and their house is destroyed and their water spigot is broken and water is lost. So I think you should think more about the people who live here and make the developers pay these fees, not us.
Thank you. If there be no more, we'll vote. I'm going to start with Commissioner Dana Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Fletcher,
Before I vote on this, question for the interim city manager. Was the business impact analysis, or as well as the city attorney, was that required for this? And if so, was that provided during the first reading? I may have slipped my memory on this because I don't see it here in this agenda.
excuse me. I would like to ask you before we do that, you ask your question before
Yes.
I ask.
So, Mr. Mayor, has the fiscal analysis for this ordinance, has this been completed? And if so, where would it be? Because it's not included in the agenda.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, it's my understanding when it comes to rates and rate increases, it does not need to follow the fiscal analysis requirement. And so if I can get that confirmed, I'm getting a head nod. That's confirmed.
Mr. Mayor, can you confirm who was head nodding this? Was it the city attorney agreeing?
You can ask the city attorney to confirm that statement.
I don't have a recollection on how it impacts rates. I don't have a recollection of how it impacts rates, how that law applies to rates, which is what the city manager was talking about. Well, that's because I've been very sick for a couple of weeks, so I'm sorry that you can't hear me. I do not have a recollection on specifically how that statute applies to rates. The city manager is saying it does not.
Mr. Mayor, if the city manager is saying that it does not, I will vote aye.
Aye.
And the mayor, I will vote aye. So all in favor? Oh, wait a minute. So we are moving Item 5.
We're on this one, right? Well, which one is that? Oh, you're just right, but you want me to read the resolution first, then do your presentation. Okay, this is the reading of Resolution 25-16, a resolution of the City of Alachua, Florida, authorizing participation in a lawsuit seeking, among other things, to declare that Senate Bill 180's imposition of a blanket statewide, I'll try to talk a little louder, prohibition on the exercise of municipal home rule authority regulations over land use and zoning is unconstitutional and should be enjoined, and retaining Weiss, Sirota, Helfman, Coleman, and Berman, PL, to prosecute the lawsuit and providing an effective date. This item was on the August 11, 2025 agenda. Commissioner Williams asked for it to be moved forward to this agenda and asked for the interim city manager to also consult with local legislative people regarding this ordinance. And I'll just let the city manager go.
Thank you, Madam City Manager. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, that is correct. This item was on the previous City Commission agenda, and the direction from the board was to contact our local representatives to see how they voted. And so we did so. Here, I'm sorry for the small print, is in summary for SB 180. It is during, it came up earlier, is during an emergency response. There is a timetable for it. And we contacted our local representative, Brandon, and we also contacted our Senator Bradley. They both voted yes for this bill. There was 2 sets of votes. The Senate bill voted in April. 37 said yay, 0 said nay. For the House, the same time period, 115 said yay, 1 say nay. The second vote occurred in May, and we had 34 votes for the Senate said yay, 1 said nay. And for the House, during the same period, 106 voted yay and 0 voted nay. And so this is the information that the board directed me to provide. And so here's that information for your consideration. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask the city, the interim city manager, if he spoke with those representatives and what were their responses as to why they felt they needed to vote for this.
Commissioner, Mayor, may I address it from the dais?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. I did not speak directly with either one of them. I did speak with their aides, and we did follow up with an email. And the response I received from them was how they voted, and they directed me to the summary which I presented to you this evening.
Mr. Mayor, so that means they did not provide an actual explanation as to why they voted yes or no?
They did not respond to our emails or our phone call. That's correct.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to know if the recent LDR that we just passed on the first hearing, if it were to pass second hearing and we wanted to say reduce one of the zones from 20 units per acre to 18 units per acre, would this bill effectively block us?
There is a strong possibility that it could block you. I have not gone back and calculated, although this is retroactive. So it would be it probably would. The issues that have been brought up is not that you should not have emergency tasks during a hurricane or some other type of catastrophic event. The way the bill is written, it is so broad that it's probably going to be applying most of the time, given the frequency of having those events, given that it's, I think it was within 100, I'm sorry, miles of the track of, let's say, the hurricane within a 1 year time, so that I think that it would still be in effect for some of the hurricanes that we had last year because of the retroactivity of it. Some of the challenges to this are how it will substantially affect home rule. Almost every year, there is another statute that is passed that is eating in and eroding home rule. That is again why, I mean, they're looking, if you looked in the backup there, this one bill was impacting several different statutes, violation of one item rule. There's a lot of different things that it was brought forth. One thing I wanted to also bring forward and let you know is that what they are seeking is a flat fee of $10,000 for contributing to the litigation, and also a flat fee of $5,000 if there is an appeal. That is all that was being looked at. And this firm has had a favorable outcome when it challenged prior legislation, which was Form, excuse me, 6. So again, it's looking at one-time flat rates. They would have to get a certain minimum number to put in for it. If they don't, you get a refund of whatever amount that you pledged to do it. But that is it. It is the fact that it will continue to really tie the hands of cities and counties in what they're doing, and it is extremely broadly written. That's what it is. I mean, I brought it forward, and the recommended action is to motion to approve or to not approve it. It's just bringing it to the commission and the public's attention.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Madam City Attorney, is there also in the text of this statute, doesn't it refer to hurricane hits at the 100-mile area? I think it's mentioned, but doesn't it refer to it something about moratoriums and increasing fees, rezoning during the recovery time? Isn't that talked about in this?
The time frames in it are very broad, I believe. And again, because I've been sick, I've not gone back through all of this as it is, because of the fact that it could still be applied retroactively, means that it is there for a good while. And and again, it is the way it is written. There is nothing that would keep the legislature from revising this, narrowing it, or doing something else. But I mean, they're attacking it on constitutional grounds. That is one of the main things for it. But it is extremely broad, it is vague, and it will impact for quite some time, because when you look at the geographic areas, and I think if you go back over the past 4 to 5 years, I think Alachua County has been impacted almost every year by one or more. So it would be applying, and when you keep having one and then another one and another one on an annualized basis, it's almost going to be in effect all the time. That's what one of the big arguments is. And again, this is just bringing it forward so that you don't all of a sudden go, oh, well, we can't change that and make it a little, it will impact what you can do.
So actually, the part of the issue isn't really that it says during recovery time, no moratorium, you can't increase your impact fees, or no, you can't rezone before somebody rebuilds, kind of thing. That's really not the issue. The issue is what you just described, the timing of it. It's not really actually because those three things that I'm using are kind of no-brainers, right? Like those aren't really anything to dispute.
And also, if you look under 252, if you read any executive order that comes out for an emergency, there are so many things in there that are waived. It goes on for pages. So to come in and say you want to put on top of that something that is so broad and overwhelming as this, because you already have all of your permits and final orders being extended for 2 years, and they can be extended for another 2 years. So there already are things that are in there, and there's lots of other types of things that are waived in every single executive order. And I have not reviewed one of those, but they go on literally for pages for what is waived on state, county, city levels. So it's again the fact that this is so broad, and again, the proposed ordinance in the back talks about all the different things that they are saying are wrong with it. So again, before something just gets slid in, like something got slid in last year, it was let's raise our hands, because again, initially at the session, what was said is, oh, that's not going to go forward. And then at the end, when they're rushing everything in, they push that through. So that is why this is being brought up again at the next session. If they want to revisit this, they could go back and they can limit it. You'll have to get a court to enjoin it and say, no, this is unconstitutional, and they can always go back and scale it back or do something else in accordance with what a court might say. So that is the basis for bringing it, because you keep seeing the municipal powers get cut and cut and cut and cut, and you didn't get responses to the questions for why are you doing this. It sounds good. Everybody wants help when you've had an emergency situation. But another part of what I read is saying, well, we don't need all this bureaucratic stuff from these municipalities. This city does not do bureaucratic things from what I have seen when there's an emergency. This city of its own has waived things and done things, and it's the local cities that know more what is needed locally than getting something from Tallahassee is a way that I would look at that, because that is why you have home rule. It's because the local cities know what their particular thing needs. It's not a one thing for all across the state. Each one impacts everything differently.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask the interim city manager a question. What type of impacts are we currently facing from past hurricanes in the city of Alachua still that would probably necessitate something like this to be implemented now?
I would also extend the question to the city attorney, but nothing comes to mind at this moment.
So, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. This bill, there's a lot of great things in it. However, this bill is a disguised mandate of, I would say, a rolling indiscriminate deregulation, disguised as relief for those who are most vulnerable during a time of that, with it still fresh in their memory, with Milton and Helene. And as the most direct representatives of our residents, the basis of home rule is critical for making these decisions. And because of that, I'd like to move to approve Resolution 25-16.
I'll second.
It's been moved in second. We will have comments.
Oh, sorry. It would prohibit local governments from adopting more restrictive or burdensome land use and zoning rules after hurricanes, applies statewide due to disaster declarations from Debbie, Helene, and Milton. So it's actually right now enforceable across the entire state. Any person, not just residents or property owners, can sue to overturn local land use decisions. Any person, and collect attorney fees. It voids any comprehensive plan or land development code change made since August 1st of 2024. So it's back to August 2024. Freezes local planning authorities until at least October 1st of 2027. For 1 year after any hurricane, all counties within 100 miles of the storm track and all cities within them lose the ability to strengthen planning or zoning rules. The flood insurance, it prohibits cumulative substantial improvement ordinances undermining NFIP standards and raising flood insurance costs. It forces local governments to expedite rebuilding permits without providing funding, which means it's an unfunded mandate. It strips home rule, which you spoke about, removes local governments' abilities to respond to the growth, safety, and resilience needs of their communities. It's more restrictive and burdensome as undefined. Virtually any new standard can be challenged. It encourages litigation by giving anyone standing and rewards them their attorney fees. Prevents communities from adopting stronger standards to reduce storm damage and improve resiliency or protecting the environment, has higher rebuilding costs for taxpayers, higher flood insurance premiums, and weakens long-term planning. It has a chilling effect on local governments who likely won't even attempt needed changes due to fear of lawsuits. So our bottom line is this bill effectively freezes Florida's land use planning systems, jeopardizing community safety, resilience, and affordability, shifting the power away from elected local officials to developers and outside challengers. It has been described as one of the most dangerous and ill-conceived pieces of planning-related legislation in modern Florida history. So we really do need to repeal this legislation, and I appreciate your efforts in taking them to court over it. Thank you.
Is there any more comments?
Mr. Mayor, before we take a vote, I do have a comment. I'm discouraged and disappointed that our representatives in Tallahassee didn't respond thoroughly or properly to our interim city manager's requests for information and explanation. And that's very frustrating to me because I don't think that we as a board were asking too much. I think we were just asking for some simple explanations. So the flip side to that, though, is I do want to remind this board. In general, the flip side is that our legislation in Tallahassee sometimes has helped our city with either appropriations or things, and so when we make decisions like this, we need to be very strategic about these kind of decisions. In general, and I said this at the last meeting. In general, I am in favor of always protecting home rule, and so, but not to the point where I consider blanket decisions about things about items like this. But again, I just wanted to express my frustration with our state legislation, and I'm disappointed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else before we take a vote? Ready to vote? Are we ready? I will start with Commissioner Fletcher.
Mr. Mayor, I will not secede the rights of the residents of Alachua to developers in the hopes of additional state funding. I will vote aye with this motion.
Commissioner
Aye.
Williams. Vice Mayor.
Aye.
And the mayor vote aye.
Mr. Mayor, I will give the information for where a check would need to be go, et cetera, to the city manager.
We'll move to item B. Consideration engagement letter.
Mr. Mayor, since I'm the one who asked for this item to be placed on the agenda, I think it's right that I read the summary for this instead of having any staff read it. May I do so from the dais? Thank you. The City Commission previously voted to initiate an investigation into the resignation of the planning director and two principal planners of the City of Alachua. In response to that directive, the city attorney identified two qualified attorneys for consideration, Mark Barnaby and Clifford Shepard. Both submitted proposals outlining their qualifications and terms of engagement. At the commission meeting on July 28, 2025, a motion to engage attorney Clifford Shepard resulted in a 2-2 tie vote. Under Rule 22 of the Commission's Rules of Procedure, a tie vote constitutes a failed motion. Attorney Mark Barnaby's proposal has not been voted on. The scope of Attorney Barnaby's proposed engagement is to conduct a fact-finding investigation into the reasons for staff resignations. The engagement does not include a determination of legal wrongdoing or liability. Upon receiving the report, the Commission may choose whether to expand the scope of the investigation. Any such expansion may affect the anticipated timeline or associated costs. The agenda item provides the Commission an opportunity to consider Attorney Barnaby's proposal in continuation of its prior directive to pursue an independent investigation.
Now we have comments. I mean, yeah, commissioners comments in. Oh, we still on item A. I mean B. Item B.
Mr. Mayor, I'll get the ball rolling on this. Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I move to hire attorney Mark Barnaby to conduct an investigation into the resignations of the planning director and two principal planners in early 2025, and to authorize the mayor to sign the attached engagement proposal letter on behalf of the city.
So is there any comments? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we did. Okay. Is there a second motion? If there's no second, then the motion is
Mr. Mayor, the motion's not denied, it's just not made.
it dies. It dies. Let me correct myself. It just died. All right. Um, we're gonna move on. Um, yeah, we're gonna move on to uh, number 6, comments from citizens on the subject not on the agenda.
Good evening. My name is Lindsay Rizzo. I have a little something to read for you. At Good Life Station, we're building a hub right here on Main Street where youth, creativity, and entrepreneurship come together. Tomorrow, August 26th, we're hosting our open house for the brand new Junior Entrepreneur Think and Boot Camp. The Think Tank helps spark fresh ideas. The Boot Camp is for kids already running a business who want to take it further. At the end, we'll host a Gator Tank. 3 local entrepreneurs will mentor and reward the top youth business pitch. We're also excited to launch a new partnership with the Cade Museum. The first ever museum pop-out will be right here in Alachua at Good Life Station, bringing hands-on innovation and creativity to our community. On top of that, we're lining up with tech and robotics workshops with groups like SwampBots and Edison Kids, giving local youth more access to real-world skills. And finally, our next Thrive workshop is September 15th at 6 p.m. The topic, How AI Can Help Your Business. It's part of our commitment to making sure Alachua's entrepreneurs are future ready. At Good Life Station, it's simple. We're here to help the next generation and our community dream bigger and do better. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Interim City Manager, Attorney. Mandy Bucci, the Mustard Seed Collection, Downtown Advocate, Alachua. I am here because I wanted to echo what we spoke about the last meeting as well. So starting in October, the Alachua Business League is officially launching our farmers market on Main Street. Woo! It'll be called Market on Main. We're asking that the city support this temporary gathering space as we explore long-term options like block closures, shading, and lights. We really want this to be a space where the community can come together, shop, enjoy their families together, and thrive. And then in retrospect, it'll support the local businesses and really build up our Main Street. I'm not good at reading off text, so I'm just going to go with it. And then the second part is I actually did bring applications for vendors. If anybody is here and a farmer and would like to apply, we are accepting vendors and a flyer to leave because we want all of it. Then the next great big announcement, which I know you all know, but we're only 2 weeks away from our voting period because we made it past the first step of the Levitt Amp music series, which is 10 free concerts throughout the year for 3 years and renewable up to 9 years, which I think that's something that we really need to hone in on because we need these votes to keep our community together and prospering for the next 9 years. Like, this is incredible. So in 2 weeks, please look everywhere. Hopefully we'll have posters, yard signs, and you can vote by phone. You can go to the website and vote. We'll have a QR code. So 1 vote per email, text the number, and Alachua is our keyword. It is so imperative that we win these votes. We're up against 100 other cities. So we'll be able to see where we are on the website, levitt.org, all the time. And so we know exactly where we're going to need to be every day. So I just wanted to congratulate everyone because y'all are helping us make this happen. And we're just super excited to see what the next 6 months is going to bring us. So thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, Interim City Manager, and City Attorney. My name is Kristen Rubin. So I'm going to read something from the Main Street Daily News. The City of Alachua's primary land use attorney, David Therick, I might be mispronouncing his name, and I apologize, terminated his office's contract with the city on Thursday after 21 years of service. Continuing on with the article, in February, 3 senior planners resigned, followed by Mike DeRosa's resignation as city manager in May and the city commissioner's firing of Rush this month. So, in my mind, this stinks. This totally stinks. This has been swept under the rug month after month after month. There needs to be an investigation of why this happened, of why the planning department they left. Why? I think that you owe the public an answer, and it needs to be investigated by an outside source. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, and City Attorney. I'm going to go back to the good news. So we have, I'm sorry, I'm Kimberly Vermillion with the Chamber of Alachua. We have a ribbon cutting coming up September 4th at Fundora Jewelers, which is right by New York Pizza. We have another ribbon cutting at Firestone, which is right near Wahoo's. These are two, what? Oh, I'll tell you that in a minute. Sorry, didn't have that one down. But I will tell you. Those are two great things happening right here. We have 2 new businesses in. I'm sure most people are very tired of this hot weather. I'm looking forward to some fall, and I have a lot of fall festivals, festivities coming up. We have September 1st starts Scarecrow Row, getting your scarecrows out. Any businesses that would like to, they can sign up at alachuachamber.com. And then we have Trick or Treat on Main, which will be actually on Halloween night, which is 5:30 to 8. And we have the City of Alachua's tree lighting, followed by Christmas on Main, where you can get pictures taken with Santa, games, popcorn, all kinds of stuff. And did I say free? Free to everyone. These are great events coming up. We also have the Christmas parade, which is on December 13th. I say all these because this is exciting stuff that's happening here in Alachua. These are things we should be excited about coming up, and just our other 2 that have a lot of stuff coming up. It's great stuff in Alachua. I love where I live.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to have a public comment. Rudy Rothsiden. I love the positivity, but there are some things we just can't sweep underneath the rug. But I'll start with some things I've noticed in my city I really have appreciated. The disc golf opening up at Legacy Park. There's new baskets. There's new launch pads. Really cool. I'm not a avid disc golfer myself, but I have a lot of friends who are, and they really love it, and I appreciate the rec department's dedication to that. TK Basin. It has not been mowed for a while, and it's actually a wonderful thing. The grass is super high. I go there with my dogs. The dogs run through it, and they smell like this beautiful sawgrass afterwards. But it's also what it's doing. There is a cave system underneath TK Basin, and it's also making it a better place for the water to filtrate through the natural vegetation, and I appreciate that. And it's also saving us a few bucks. I'm not cutting it as much as we were cutting it. I've known Mrs. Rush for quite a long time in my life. At one point, I was actually shorter than her, and I really want to say my appreciation for what she's done for this city. She's worked over a career's worth of time for the city. I am not in all happy in the way in which she was relieved from her duties. I think it was, I could say quite a few choice words. I just don't think it was handled correctly. We'll just leave it at that. I think if there was an idea that you wanted to have something in-house happen, or you wanted to have some other things happen, rulings to be someone in that position to ruffle some feathers, to guide the city away from lawsuits, then communicate with her. The way that came about, I think, was absolutely horrendous. And for someone who's worked as long as they've worked in our city, to what they've done, I can't tell you how much I appreciate what she has done. It just really is despicable the way that happened. Losing David Theriak, one of the best real estate land attorneys, when we're in the middle of litigations, yeah, that's a great move. But I am happy about, go back to some positive stuff. I'm happy about with the momentum that's happening with Main Street, the involvement of Theater Park, the farmers markets, the activities that come in the fall and the nicer weather. I'm really happy that we have some citizens donating their time to that. But we can move forward and we can smile with pretty faces, but to sweep things under the rug and not investigate why people of the positions they were in quit, and why we fired people for, I don't understand why, to increase our costs. An in-house attorney is going to increase our costs by a lot. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, and City Attorney. I just wanted to share I'm volunteer president of the Alachua Chamber this year, Elliot Welker, for 2025. Only a few months left. But I'm very happy to share that we have this disc golf tournament because of the work that the city put into Legacy Park. The Chain Hawks, their 14th annual disc golf tournament's coming in December to the city of Alachua, bringing 300 disc golfers from across the world on their off season. So we're going to get a lot of professional disc golfers coming here, and thousands of spectators coming to the city of Alachua at Legacy Park because of the infrastructure that the city invested in. So if you come across any of the volunteer association board members that are fundraising, making connections, trying to get community support to make sure that is a preeminent event for the city of Alachua. It just moved from 13 years in Gainesville, and they saw the fertile ground that's going on in Alachua and also the abundant community support around that, and decided to move their tournament here. So it should be a big economic windfall for Main Street and for 441 corridor and all the hotels, expecting a lot of hotel night stays. So excited to announce that, and happy to connect anybody from the commission and the staff with the disc golf Chain Hawks to do that event. So thank you.
Good day again. My name's Sarah Younger, and I am here to share with you that there is currently an online petition titled Alachua City Commission Investigate Resignations, Protect Mill Creek Sink and Public Trust. This is a submitted printout of the website, which I'll give to the clerk. But I wanted to make you aware of it because it outlines the background of these planner resignations and how Mill Creek Sink is involved. And quotes, "The people of Alachua deserve clarity and accountability and transparency." I think we can all agree that everyone everywhere deserves that same accountability and transparency. in just about a week. Over 400 people signed this petition as of 5 p.m. today. And to put that in perspective, if each person spoke for 3 minutes, it would then take more than 20 hours to hear all their comments. So that shows also how important this is as an issue to the public. And it is not just a City of Alachua concern, I can tell you. I live in High Springs. That's our water too. The water from Mill Creek flows through the region and affects thousands of people. So why not pursue this investigation? You know, I've heard some say the cost is the reason not to move forward, but the city manager's discretionary fund maybe triple that. If the estimate is $35K of a $67 million budget, that's 0.052% of the budget. That's about 0.05% In other words, if you have $100, that same percentage would be a nickel out of $100. Others say we should simply just move on, but the petition and persistence from the public would say otherwise. You can't move on. You need to investigate. So please move forward with an investigation, as Commissioner Fletcher had asked. For the sake of transparency, I ask also, what are you leaving yourselves vulnerable to by refusing to see what was present at the time? Please make this clear. Understand that there are many people looking into this, and we ask you to be transparent. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Mitch Glazer. The public comment is for things that are not on the agenda, correct? Okay. Just trying to clear the air there. So I wanted to speak tonight a little bit about great things that are going on at San Flasco Tech City. As you all know, Siemens opened a few months ago. We were able to do that project in a day under 7 months. What's interesting is UF Health came to us and said we'd love to actually locate out at San Flasco Tech City as well, as long as you can have us in and operational by the end of the year. And so we challenged our team to see if that was possible and doable, and we actually got a building permit, I believe, a week ago today. And actually at 3 o'clock tomorrow morning at 3 a.m., we're actually pouring the foundation for UF Health, about a 9,000 square foot facility that's going to serve orthopedics and a rehab center. This is a very, very large win for our region and for our community, because as we talk about all the impacts of transportation down 441 going to Gainesville, they'll be able to service our residents here and our community for a very, very long time. And I think that's a huge, huge benefit and bonus to our community. And I just wanted to celebrate that with you. We are working from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then another shift from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. to be able to accommodate this request. So it's through the diligent hard work of your staff and those in our community to be able to make this happen. This request came in very, very fast, and it's a need that's greatly needed for our community, and we're stepping up to try to make that accommodation. I just wanted to make you aware of it. We certainly look forward to having you out there for a ribbon cutting and a grand opening. Thank you all very much for all you do. Take care.
Good evening, Tamara Robbins. Back in 1973, there's an Attorney General opinion, which is one of my favorites, and I'm going to read you one paragraph out of it and I saw your eyes rolling. The right of the public to be present and to be heard during all phases of enactments by boards and commissions is a source of strength in our country. During past years, tendencies towards secrecy in public affairs have been the subject of extensive criticism. Terms such as managed news, secret meetings, closed records, executive sessions, and study sessions have become synonymous with, quote, hanky-panky in the minds of public-spirited citizens. One purpose of the Sunshine Law was to maintain the faith of the public in governmental agencies. regardless of their good intentions, these specified boards and commissions, through their devious ways, and I am looking at you, should not be allowed to deprive the public of this inalienable right to be present and to be heard at all deliberations wherein decisions affecting the public are being made. So I'm reading that to you because I thought I actually kind of trusted you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioner Brown. I did. I don't. And what happened at the last meeting, underhanded and at the last minute, with no public notice regarding the city attorney, is despicable. It is shameful. And I wasn't able to be at the meeting. I was traveling. But, Mr. Mayor, I want to thank City Attorney Marion Rush. Marion Rush was the attorney, the law firm, when I was a commissioner and we hired them. She has served this city with commitment. And to underhandedly do what you all did, I just can't believe you did that. Any person. I mean, what are you, like Doge? Seriously, you tell her to like clean out or like just leave? It is not right what you did. And the investigation, Commissioner Brown, you voted for that every single time and said you were committed, you were passionate, that you thought that transparency was the way forward and the public deserved it. And you understood that an election had taken process and that there were changes that the public wanted. And Mr. Mayor, you said you were working for the public. And the public have spoken and said they want to know the truth. And then you all do about face. Would you just do us all the favor and explain why you did the turn about face? Because we deserve answers, or this is what they say, hanky-panky. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. We're going to move to
Move to let me speak.
Go ahead.
Great, thank you. Brian Bisher. Hello again, commission, staff. I had to come to the meeting because I missed last meeting, and when stuff isn't on the agenda and then it gets passed, it's like I think, wow, where did transparency go? In the light of transparency, I'm hoping that the interim city manager has shared with you all the letter from the National Speleological Society, which is demanding the repeal of a special exception permit approved by the Planning Commission on June 11th, 2024. This is soon to be a legal matter, and you all aren't going to be represented unless you act fast. So I don't understand what your motivations are. It's a mystery. I think it's a mystery to the citizens in the region, right, as to how you all are operating the city. Behind closed doors, I think that's been stated before, and it seems to be going on. So I'm hoping that either the attorney or the city manager will share the situation that you all are about to face. And I would be, after tonight, I guess I would be not surprised if they didn't.
Thank you. If there be no more comments, If there be no more comments, we have comments from our city manager and city attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One thing I do want to highlight is save the date for August 30th at 3 p.m. Map for Youth is putting together is at Legacy Park, and there's handouts in the back for everybody to please grab and share. Mayor, I also would like to give an update on the situation with the city attorney. I would like to provide that update. The efforts regarding the city attorney's position in response to the direction provided by the board The job description has been prepared and is now posted on the city's webpage. Preparations are underway to establish the appropriate office space within City Hall. In coordination with the current city attorney, we are working through the transition process, ensuring the continuity of service and support. This includes the transfers of documents and files. As we progress, we will continue to keep the board informed and actively engaged throughout the selection process. I understand the significance of this matter and thank you in advance for your engagement as we move swiftly through the following steps: recruitment, screening, selection process, background and reference checks, board engagement and decisions, and then the onboarding and transition. Mayor, thank you.
No comment.
We have comments from the commissioners.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'll be brief on this part. Disappointed. Since February, we have lost one director, 2 planners, a city manager, a city attorney, and our go-to contracting attorney for land use. All of them would have come across what was stated in Mr. Tabor's letter. The only person who has not left the city is our interim city manager. Will they be next? And switching gears on that to something I think is a little more, also has a, I guess, big gravity to it. I'd like to take a moment to read this Facebook post from the Alachua Police Department. In loving memory of K9 Thor, it is with heavy hearts that we announce the passing of K9 Thor, who left us today surrounded by his loving family and his Alachua Police Department family. Thor was born on July 21st, 2012, and joined the Alachua Police Department on May 30th, 2014, proudly serving the city of Alachua and its residents for 8 years. On February 27, 2023, K9 Thor was recognized as the City of Alachua's Commission's meeting. At the City of Alachua's Commission meeting for his 8 years of dedicated service. During his career, Thor became certified in narcotics detection and patrol functions, including building searches, locating wanted persons, and finding lost evidentiary items that would have otherwise gone unseen. Thor's dedication and bravery were evident throughout his service. In 2017, Thor helped locate a suspect who had broken into a residence and fled the scene. His keen tracking abilities led to the suspect being found and taken into custody, protecting our community and showcasing the vital role canines play in law enforcement. Thor was more than just a partner, he was family. His loyalty, courage, and unwavering service will never be forgotten. Thank you, Thor, for protecting and serving with honor. Rest easy, faithful friend. You will always be a hero to us. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No comment, Mr. Mayor, other than thank you, Commissioner Fletcher, for reading that post about K9 Thor.
I agree, thanks. I am grateful to Pastor Deborah Sermons for the prayer tonight. Thanks to all the citizens for your emails, excuse me, for your comments. I appreciate the kindness and the expressions of civility. I'm grateful for those who were respectful and helped to establish a professional flavor in this room. It's great to offer your opinion. I respect that. But it's also good when you listen to our opinions. Communication is a two-way street. Communication is a reciprocal act. And we need to continue to respect each other. I attended and volunteered at the Alachua Branch Library's Back to School Bash. It was fantastic, fun, and enjoyable. You know, anytime I see the kids, I'm happy. My sorority's 20 Pearls Foundation donated school supplies to several schools in this county, including Alachua Elementary. The Florida League of Cities Conference was excellent. We had remarkable speakers, great workshops, and it was great to have another opportunity to represent our city. I want to thank our interim city manager for being the facilitator at the community meeting at the Hal Brady complex. It was awesome, highly attended, and informative. And I look forward to the renovation of the Hathcock Center. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I want to address and I thank the citizens of Alachua for all your concern. And I know there's things that you want to see done, but you have to remember all things have to be voted. And if votes fall one way or the other, the best thing we can do, because I still mean unity, the best thing we can do is just push forward. What is going to, what we're going to get out of it if we dwell on something we can't change? We can't change it. If it's voted out, because I voted for the investigation. So what I'm saying, let us just try to move forward. That's the best thing that we can do. We can just move forward. Can't change it. If we can, let's do it. But I appreciate each and every one of you, and I appreciate. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm finished, but there'll be another announcement. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I think Commissioner Shirley wants to be sure that people know about the Dementia Caregiver Workshop Wednesday, August 27th at the Alachua Library Branch, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Also, there's a dementia caregiver support group that meets the second Tuesday of each month from 4 to 5 at our library, the Alachua Library. Commissioner Brown has the flyers and information on people to contact if they need some more. And there is some in the back. Okay.
We're gonna have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, let's say aye.
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 The motion. This meeting has been adjourned. Thank you all for coming.